Hi grade 5s, welcome to another recorded math lesson. Today's title is Finding Lines and Faces in the Media. Our learning intentions and success criteria are: I am learning to describe and characterize 3D and 2D shapes and analyze the relationships between them so that I can describe and provide examples of edges and faces that are parallel, intersecting, perpendicular, horizontal, and vertical. I'll know I have it when I can identify relationships between lines in 2D faces and faces in 3D objects. Okay, so today on your worksheet, you're going to be identifying the different lines and faces on a two-dimensional image that's representing three-dimensional objects. So one of the first things that it's going to ask you to do is identify all of the vertical lines in the image, and it's going to ask you to use a certain color. So if you're doing your worksheet on paper, you're going to have, I think it says, a blue, a red, and a yellow pencil crayon. But if you're doing it on your iPad, you can use your Logitech crayon to change the color. I'm using blue, red, and I'm going to use orange because yellow is a little bit tricky to see on the iPad sometimes. Okay, so let's start by identifying all of the vertical edges, and to do that we're going to use the color red. Okay, and we've already got it, so that's good. So vertical, as you know, would be going up and down, and so that would be something like this. So actually, I think it asks you to color in the vertical faces. So this would be a vertical face here. This one here would also be a vertical face. This is a vertical face, and I think it asks you to color in two. So you can do a much nicer job of coloring than I have done because you only have to do two. And I'm trying to be quick so that I don't waste any of your time. Okay, so you do a much nicer coloring job than I've done. Then it asks you to color in some horizontal faces. Now, on this particular image that I've chosen, we can't actually see any horizontal faces because of the angle of the image. So I just have this other image here that I'm going to do it for you on. I didn't choose this image because it's a little bit too complex, but we can see here it's angled from the top, so we can see, oh, and this is still red, we want blue. We can see this is a horizontal face. This here is a horizontal face. There's tons of horizontal faces. The tops of the buildings would all be horizontal faces, right? Horizontal meaning going from left to right, and vertical going from up and down, okay? And then I believe the worksheet also asks you to use a third color to identify some parallel edges. So let's do that. Let's identify some parallel edges. And as you know, we use arrows to identify parallel edges. So I'm going to use this building here as parallel edges. Excuse me. This building here also has parallel edges here. Okay, there's tons of parallel edges. There's tons of perpendicular edges. Let's do some perpendicular edges as well. Well, there's one right here. That's perpendicular. We've got our 90-degree angle right there. Okay, and we identified that using a square. Okay, I may have gotten the colors mixed up compared to what they actually are on your worksheet, so don't go based off of the colors that I've said today. Go based off of the colors that are actually written on your worksheet. And yours is also going to be a lot simpler than this. This is just what I found on the internet. It was a little bit more complex than I was hoping for, but hopefully it gave you the right idea that basically you're just identifying edges and faces today using different colors and using different symbols. Okay, remembering that parallel lines we use arrows, and perpendicular lines we use a little square in the corner there. Okay. So your worksheet is called Finding Lines and Faces in the Media, and the reason it's called in the media is because it's the idea that you could go into any magazine or any newspaper and you would be able to find lines and faces anywhere, and that's why I showed you a cityscape, because it's the idea, like I said, that you can find those lines and faces, parallel, perpendicular, horizontal, vertical, intersecting lines anywhere that you go in your everyday life. You should be able to find lines like this, okay? That worksheet is on Google Classroom and it is due tomorrow.